This short movie is about the asset management game version 1 for me. The idea of this version of the game is that we in fact stay rather close to the original outline of the asset management game, as already known by everybody around the table, namely the asset management game of Oxand. But with one change. Let us take a look at the title: Sellafield Asset Management Game Issue Prevention Game, because that's how I subtitled it. And let us take a look at the game board as how it is presented. Of course, it's just a sketch, very rough. But you might recognize a game board which looks a bit like Monopoly, which looks a bit like the Oxand asset management game, with in the corners several colors, pawns of several colors, then squares which represent properties with assets on it, 2 per property. I will come back to that. Opportunities, assets for sale, like here, and issue solutions. We'll come back to that later. Designed for 4 teams of about 4 people, so for also 8, 12, 16 people. That's a bit of the range that is can be served by this game. Let us move to the gameplay. As already said, the gameplay is like the Oxand asset management game. Teams own 3 properties, which consists of 2 assets. That's less than with the current asset management game, optional is that teams can expand and shrink their asset portfolio so they can acquire additional assets, but in the context of decommissioning of assets, it might also be interesting to have the opportunity to get rid of assets. A major difference with the existing asset management game is the fact that we have a fixed budget per year, and the money that is not spent is not saved and is not available for next turn, it's just lost. Here I have stated fixed budget per year, but based on the discussion we had during the workshop last week, it will be per 5 years. Money can be shared across teams, as you can lose it at the end of the turn. Well, maybe there are some valuable things also to be done by other teams making use of it. So the property, it looks like the property as on the asset management game, for different conditions with different consequences, but no money consequences, but issue consequences. For in every turn, as every turn is 5 years, it is possible to move 5 assets. The teams will start with 3 properties, which means that 1 asset can't be maintained or renewed during this game. The scoreboard, as I said, the asset management game is to prevent issues from happening, and so during the game issues are raised based on the condition of assets. How does this work? Well, we see here 3 properties of a team. Of course, the values have to be calculated and have to be in balance. take a close look at this property 1. Here you can see the 4, well, I take this one because it's a bit better readable. 4 conditions, excellent, good, are the same as in the asset management game as already played, but instead of poor and bad, we have an acceptable condition and we have an out of order condition. Depending on the condition, you get uptime counters at the end of the 5 years. So as you can see, excellent and good deliver 2 uptime counters, but based on the condition there's also the possibility that an issue will occur. So we have both an issue probability and an issue effect score, and in fact these numbers tell you with how many dice has to be thrown afterwards. Move back to the scoreboard, and then you see the probability and the effect of the risks and to what kind of issues they can lead. No issue with a 1 and a 2 and another 1 and a 2. Minor issues, major issues, and unacceptable issues. And as you can imagine, when you have to throw 3 dice, the chance that you end up with 6 is quite high. How does this game work? Well, it has an order in such a way that every round has a chairman, and the first one is just chosen. Afterwards it turns with the clock. Everybody receives the annual budget, and it has to be distributed among the teams. Every team makes its maintenance planning, like we also have in the asset management game. Throw dice, move pawns, all recognizable, I think, with the probability to land on properties, both of your own or of the others. If you land on the property of another team, you also might choose to maintain it when you still have some money in the pocket, because afterwards you just lose it. An unknown property can be added. An opportunity can be picked, and an issue solution can be picked. Then the uptime counters are collected, and the issues are carried out. So based back to the condition, if there's an asset in a good condition, 2 uptime counters are collected, but also 1 dice for the issue probability, and 1 for the issue effect has to be thrown. And based on what is thrown, if it's 2 times 6, then still an unacceptable issue has been raised. If this is done, all assets degenerate. The annual budget card is taken, because there might be a change of annual budget compared to the beginning of the game, and then it's the same cycle. Plan and budget, agree how to distribute the budget, decided by the chairman, and we go back into the gameplay. By the end of the game, we score as follows. The uptime counters represent a certain value, let's say 10. The unacceptable issues collected bring you quite a penalty. Major issues as well, but less issues, a small penalty, and minor issues, a very small penalty. And based on that, it's possible at the end to compare the effectiveness of the asset management strategy of the participants. Examples of opportunities that might occur: maintain 1 asset for free, mitigate an issue. Well, maybe that goes a bit too far for now. So, to summarize, a gameplay like the asset management game, as you know, but no money to be collected, by the condition of assets but issues, and the issues determine the penalties, and the uptime counters, which you also collect, determine your positive score at the end of the turn. Those with the most uptime counters and the less penalties win ultimately the game.